Hello, everybody. Please forgive me. Every time I say the word Obamacare, my head cold gets a little worse. So you'll have to bear with me. My voice may go in and out a little bit. In 1976, I was 13 years of age, and now I'm 51 years of age, so I'm not a spring chicken anymore. Ed Markey's been there since I was 13, and here I am, 51. It's great to be here tonight. This is probably one of the coolest buildings I've ever been in for a political event in my life. This is not the first time I've run for political office, and I've been in a lot of buildings, and I've never been in anything like this. I'm a three-time local official in Hopkinton, Massachusetts, where I live, with my wife and 5 kids. I won all my races, and in Hopkinton we have partisan elections by law, so I've won all my races at the local level by putting an R next to my name. The demographics of Hopkinton are very similar to those of the state, so you have to attract a lot of different types of voters to win, and we've been able to win. Also in 2010, I ran for the United States Congress, and I came second in a 5-way primary. I probably learned more losing that race than I ever would have won or learned had I won the race. So this is not something new to me. I'm very excited about the opportunity to run for the United States Senate. We're working very closely with a lot of campaigns across the state. And without question, this is the year that we can unseat Ed Markey. Just 2 months ago, he was polling at 30% favorability. In that same poll, those people said 42% of people in that same poll said somebody else should go to Washington, D.C. to represent Massachusetts. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is somebody else, and I'm going to Washington, D.C. to represent you. Just real quick, a little bit about my mindset. So I'm a local official in Hopkinton. I'm a selectman. We are working on what's called an underride right now. You mentioned the mayor from Westfield, or the former mayor, lowered taxes 3 times. We're in the process of putting an underride through in Hopkinton, Massachusetts, not an override. We all know what an override is. We don't like overrides. We run our government like a business in Hopkinton, Massachusetts, and when you run government like a business, you can provide great services at a lower cost to the taxpayers and less burden on you as a homeowner. And that's the same mentality I would take to Washington, D.C. if I represent you. I am a true fiscal conservative, and it works. The other thing I'd like to say real quick, in Washington, D.C., the dysfunction is evident to everyone. Even the Democrats are frustrated with Washington, D.C. right now. They can't get Obamacare, which is now here comes my head cold again, they can't get Obamacare to work. We don't want Obamacare to work. We've got our own system here in Massachusetts. It's hardly affordable, but we have our own system. We've got to work on what we have at the state level, not at the federal level. I'm opposed to Obamacare. I believe it has to reside at the state level. If the states want to implement something like this, let them. All the power to them. It's a states' rights issue for me, and I believe we've got to push that thing back as far as we can. The other thing that drives me crazy that's so obvious about the dysfunction in Washington, D.C. is Ed Markey and his vote last year on that question in Syria. Do you remember what he did? He walked into a Senate hearing room after spending 38 years in Washington, D.C., and said, well, I don't really have enough information. I don't have enough experience, perhaps, in this matter, so I'm just going to vote present. He voted present on whether or not we should take military action against Syria. I personally would have voted not to take military action. I don't believe we can be the world's police. But either way, people were making good arguments on both sides of that issue. He voted present, and we know why he voted present. He didn't want to annoy the president, because the president's coming up to help him, and he didn't want to annoy the voters of Massachusetts, who obviously don't want to be the world's police. So it's all about the politics of re-election. When I go to Washington, D.C., I'll go for 2 6-year terms to represent you and nobody else, and re-election will never be on my mind. Thank you very much for your time tonight. Have a great evening.